Make sure they wait for me. It's a double-decker, white one. Make sure it doesn't go off without me.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Is that everybody? Is that everybody? I think that was it, you know, because she knew from the way.
Receive the bride and groom, but before taking their places at the table, will carry out the traditional ceremony of cutting the wedding cake. The bride and groom! The bride and groom will now carry out the traditional ceremony of cutting the wedding cake.
Well done.
Back again. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with tradition, the bridegroom will now offer the piper, Martin Wilson, the traditional piper's dram. Thanks for everything today. Very good. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for the father of the bride, Mr. Angus Crichton, who will now propose a toast to the bride and groom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this happy occasion to celebrate the wedding of Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd. I'd like to thank all of you for coming to share in this happy occasion. I'm sure you've all enjoyed the meal we've just had, and I'm sure you'll go on to enjoy a lovely evening. In case I forget, later, it'll be open house at 9 Glebe Gardens tomorrow afternoon, especially for those who have come from some distance, stayed overnight. Come down, have a coffee, sandwich before you set off. There will also be a chance to see how lucky Melissa and Hamish have been and see some of the presents they've received. Doris and I look forward to seeing you all. Sorry, it's a misprint. Unfortunately, Hamish and Melissa have declined the invitation. I've been told to stand up, say a few words, propose the toast, and sit down again quickly. However, as Melissa well knows, I rarely do what I'm told. So I thought I'd say a few words, followed by the obligatory risky jokes, which must be laughed at, by the way, before I get a hard kick as a subtle reminder to sit down. Melissa, as most of you know, has been working in an office in Edinburgh for the last few years. As well as starting 1994 as the new Mrs. Shepherd, she is also changing direction completely. She begins studying as a nurse. So I'm sure that you'll join with me in wishing her all success in her new career. Hamish, who has already had 4 years of study behind him, reaches his final year in 1994. His final exams come in May, June, and I'm sure he'll get through them without any bother, and he will then be a fully fledged accountant. I now have to keep in with Melissa, because in years to come I may well need her professional services. Unpaid, of course. Hamish, well, I don't really need his services. With 2 daughters, I've got nothing left for him. I only hope that Melissa treats her patients in a different way to the way she treats her poor old dad sometimes. Only joking, Melissa. I do love you dearly, as does your mom, but despite your advancing years, you'll always be my baby. Melissa and Hamish both met when they were working in a nearby hotel, supplementing their wages. After some time there, it was quite enlightening to see Melissa and one of her pals plotting their future. Hamish, you had no chance of escape. However, I'm sure it wasn't all one-sided. And Hamish, being the good shepherd he is, obviously looked over his flock and kept the best one. Both of you had quite a send-off before reaching today. Melissa, I know, had 2 parties that helped her on her way. Unfortunately, I believe they were rather quiet state affairs because they were supervised by her older married sister. Some people at the back might dispute that. Hamish, on the other hand, I believe he's quite lucky not to be on bail at the moment. I understand his photography experience came in rather useful. There was a bit of a flash and a long exposure idea, but nothing developed. Hamish is to remember what James Thurber once said. He was a well-known humorist in these good old days before feminism. And one of his famous quotations is that a woman's place is in the wrong. Melissa, Hamish, Doris and I love you both. Enjoy the next 2 weeks. Make the most of them. Because you're both coming back to a long year and a hard year. And good luck to you both. We all wish you the best of luck and all the success you deserve. Please join in me with a toast. Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd.
Ladies and gentlemen, the toast, Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Mr. and Mrs. Crichton. Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for the groom, Mr. Hamish Shepherd, who will reply to the toast and will conclude by submitting a toast to the bridesmaids.
I'm going to start this speech in a strange way. For all the English out there, I'm going to let into a little secret about what's actually kept under a Scotsman's kilt. It is, of course, the old speech. Here we go, short and sweet, just like my new mother-in-law. Anyway, enough of the drama. On behalf of my wife and I, we'd also like to thank you all for coming today. We've got people here who travelled a great distance from the very south of England to the very north of Scotland. Even one person was just back from Australia. All your efforts are much appreciated. I also myself enable such a memorable day for us. Also, as for the presents that Angus mentioned in his speech, I don't know where they're all going to go in the flat, but I've got a feeling Melissa will end up having to throw out half my clothes just to make room for them. Although some people say my dress sense, it might be a good thing. I'm sure we'd all like to thank Angus and Doris for providing us today a very beautiful lunch and also the best is yet to come, the dance. And I hope to see you all up dancing, especially the day gardens and dates and reels and everything. I suppose now I'm officially part of the family with a real live mother-in-law. However, I'd personally like to thank both of them, and Melissa and Graham, for all the help and support they've given me over the last few years. And believe me, I felt like part of the family well before today. There's also several other people here today that without their help today would be impossible. There is, of course, Paul, my best man, who I hope won't drag up too much of the murky past in the speech. The Reverend Lady, thank you for all the time you've given us in the last few weeks, making both me and Melissa feel at ease, and also for the lovely sermon this morning and the words said before dinner. Thanks must also go to both Isabel Thompson and Mrs. Drever. Isabel for the making of the cake that I've heard people admiring today, and Mrs. Drever for all the help you've given Melissa making her fit into her dress. And finally, of course, there's the four beautiful bridesmaids. There's Gwen, Elsa, Sheena, and Fiona. I'm sure without their help, Melissa would have been a nervous wreck today, and we never even have made it to the church, never mind the dance here tonight, the reception here tonight. However, finally, before I pose the toast to the brides, I would like to ask Fiona to perform one little last task, and that is to provide 2 bouquets for the mums of today. Fiona? done. And there's also a little gift there for Julie. Thank you. And now I'd like everybody to raise their glasses and for all the hard work the bridesmaids have done. I propose to toast you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to toast the bridesmaids.
Well done.
Melissa, Hamish, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for the best man, Mr. Paul Geddes, who will reply to the toast on behalf of the bridesmaids and will read the messages of congratulations.
Well, thanks very much, everybody. I think it's been a great day. I'd like to start by saying something. On Christmas Day last year, I phoned Hamish to find out how the day was going, the festive season and all. The conversation went something like this. Hi Hamish, have you had a good Christmas? Did Santa bring you anything nice? He replies, oh Paul, yes. I got a Sega Mega Drive when I got engaged. I said, you got what? He said, I got a Sega Mega Drive. Seriously though, Hamish had proposed to Melissa on Christmas morning. Melissa accepted, quite naturally I think. And almost 1 year later, all I can see are two very proud families and a crowd of extremely happy friends. Since meeting Melissa about 3 years ago, me and I think all of Hamish's friends could tell straight away that the perfect match would definitely result in marriage. Now, I think Angus started on this, but I'd like to expand on how Hamish and Melissa actually met. Now, if I've got all my facts right, Melissa and Hamish met just over 3 years ago, working at a local hotel. I don't want to cause any hassle in naming it. The Royal Scot. Oh, there's a thing that's changed. It wasn't as simple as that, however. I remember at the time talking to Hamish. He said there was a girl working there that he quite liked. Me and all his friends said, why don't you ask him out? Ask her out. That's later. I said, why don't you ask her out? But he was too shy. With him, she's just too shy. Don't you think things have changed? At a staff night out, I think it was Christmas time, Hamish thought his chances were just gone. He was looking across the dance floor and saw Melissa dancing closely to one of those slow numbers. A little while later, though, he found out that the guy that Melissa was dancing with wasn't really interested in women. If you know what I mean. But even later than that, I think he'd be quite a fancy to Hamish. After a while, I think a good few pints, Hamish. Am I right? Hamish eventually plucked up the courage and asked Melissa to dance. I think he made an excellent choice. Now, Hamish mentioned his dark and murky past. Now, I think that'll do for my little bit. But there's two very close friends of myself and Hamish that 2 months ago set off to Australia. Tristan and Gordon obviously couldn't be here. There were several telephone conversations over the last 2 or 3 weeks. They decided to send a fax with some information. Congratulations from down under. In writing this tribute to you, Hamish, we have had two main considerations in mind. Firstly, recalling the best times spent together, and two, appropriate censorship of details which would have left us with nothing to write. So if anyone wishes to leave now, especially Hamish, then feel free. Are you staying? No, I can't do this one. Since we've known Hamish, he's developed from being a proud and spotty young boy through high school years fraught with hormonal imbalance, to reckless student days and nights in Edinburgh. As a graduate and training accountant, Hamish has finally taken control of his life, if only to hand over the reins of his future to Melissa, his wife. Hamish's most obvious personal attribute is his laid-back approach into life. This has not only led to him working on a chicken farm, collecting eggs and cleaning cages for 75 pence an hour. That's more than you get this time. But it's probably the main reason why he's an accountant. Well, this is it. But it's probably the main reason why he's an accountant. Or was it the first occupation he saw in the alphabetical list of careers? Not that there's anything wrong with being an accountant, just don't ask him to do any bookkeeping for any of them. As we remember your debt-ridden student days, and cringe at the thought of you helping with our finances. It's about time now that we bought some beers and we're back to the beach. Doesn't make you jealous? So with you both we wish you the most. Oh, it's a fact.
Got your glasses?
Yeah. So we wish you both the very best for the future and hope to see you soon. Take care, both of you. Gordon from Tristan. There are a number of cards. I'll bring up together. Water. Especially for you, congratulations. A long and happy life together. So sorry we can't be with you on your big day. John and June Ferguson. Good luck for the future and have a wonderful and happy life together. Sheena and Andy. Wishing lots of love and happiness for the future, Gwen and Richard. Many congratulations, Joe, Margaret and Gordon. Best wishes and love to you both. Have a wonderful day, Margot. Wishing you every happiness in your future together. Lots of love, Sue and Colin. To Melissa and Hamish, our very best wishes to you both on your wedding day. Love from the Abercrombies. To Auntie Mel and Uncle Hamish, with lots of love from Owen and Justin. From Uncle Charles and Hilda. Hope it all goes well for now and in the future. Love and best wishes, Leslie and Barney. May life bring you happiness to you both. Dawn and Marie Geddes. That's my favourite. Love and best wishes for your future together, Jessie and Matt. Love and best wishes from Antoinette, Kimberly and Amanda. Hamish and Melissa, all the best. Hope you have a great day, Judith. Congratulations, Granny McGeorge. Good luck and good health for your future. Love, Peggy and Reg. Melissa and Hamish, lots of love and luck from Anne and Andrew. That's my brother and sister. Can't get rid of this. With the very best wishes for your life, for your future together, with love, Alison Stewart Campbell. Alison Stewart Campbell. May the honeymoon be a long one. Lindsay, Chloe, Caitlin and Ailsa. To Melissa and Hamish, good luck for the future. Love from Corey, Fiona and Michelle. With all our best wishes from Doreen, Les, Lindsay, Melanie, Stephen and Ian. And that's them all. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for the father of the groom, Mr. Alan Shepherd, for the concluding remarks of the afternoon.
I would just like to take this opportunity to congratulate officially Melissa and Hamish from the folk from the north, and to welcome Melissa into the family. The only thing I would like to say to them over as the years go on is to love one another, stay friends, and be happy. The thing that I would like to ask on my behalf, if you don't mind, it's not that I'm sort of going to be nosy or anything, but when you do come to start a family, I would appreciate it if possible to get some warning, because I don't know how I would adjust from being married to a lovely wife one day and waking up and finding myself married to a granny the next. The other thing I was going to mention as the years goes on is anniversaries. Now, probably everyone has been married in the room here over the years has forgotten anniversary. This happened to me a wee while ago. You'll easily know when it happens, because you get up in the morning and the atmosphere can be sort of cut with a knife slightly. So anyway, at this day I didn't know sort of what it was, so I went off to work, and it was middle of the afternoon before I realised sort of what had gone wrong. So, thinking I'd better go and rectify this, I went off to Elgin to one of these fancy dress shops for the ladies. I saw the very thing through the mirror, one of these see-through negligees. Anyway, got it wrapped up, took it home, handed it to her, and she seemed to be quite happy with it. So later that evening, I said, you better go and try your new present on. So she disappeared off to the bedroom, tried it on, sort of looked herself in the mirror, decided, oh no, this isn't sort of my scene, this. So she threw it off. And just at that, I come walking into the bedroom. So I was standing looking, and she turned out and said, what's the matter with you? What are you looking at? I go, well, the price I paid for that present, I thought they'd have ironed some of the wrinkles out of it. Before I get the divorce, I would like to, on behalf of Joan and myself, to thank Angus and Doris for looking after Hamish all the time, well, most of the time he's been down here. It's been very much appreciated. It's been more or less, it has been a second home for him. We've been sort of very patient. We know what he was like at home. I don't think he's changed much now. But he did appreciate it an awful lot. I would just like to thank you for all the hard work and effort that you put into this to make this a special day for Melissa and Hamish. It's very much appreciated. And we know it's an awful expense, so I think it's only fitting and proper that we should maybe hold a minute's silence. In sympathy to Hamish's family.
That concludes the formalities for the afternoon. Thank you for your attention. Can I ask you now, please, once more to be upstanding while the bride and groom leave, prepare to meet their evening guests.
Who's our evening guest? Who's our evening guest? Who's our evening guest? Who's our evening guest?
Celebrate the marriage of Melissa and Hamish. Music for dancing tonight is in the very capable hands of the late Sheppards. They're going to be too tired to applaud them later, so come on, do it now. Very good. Right, now would you please welcome the bride and groom as they take the floor for the first dance together as man and wife. And the tune they're going to dance to is Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? Ronnie on the vocal.
Have I told you there's no Will my heart would gladly take away my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do. For the days you're going since the day we go with you fill my life with laughter, somehow make me dance. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. This is love that's divine, and it's yours and mine like the song. And at the end of the day, we should give thanks and praise to the Lord.
Now, Terry, Ladies and Jones, as they can be joined with Alan and Doris.
Have I told you there's no Fill my heart with gladness, take away my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what we do.
Wake up the wedding party. Sheena
With love that's divine,
Alan and Gordon.
and it's yours and mine. And at the end of the day, what's all day? So Have I told you there's no one? Come on, baby. Ease my troubles next to you. Take away my sadness. Come on, baby. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. Take away my sadness. Come on, baby. Ease my troubles, that's what you do.